Greetings to you and welcome to this episode of Grace Podcast. I'm Timothy Muse. I'll be your host today as we join this time together. This podcast is the digital arm of Grace Life Coaching. It's a joy to be part of this time, however you choose to engage in this. If you're listening to us through one of the podcast platforms, if you're connecting on social media, either on Facebook or Instagram because of the podcast or the YouTube, then please share us out there. What a joy it is for you to be investing your time in this. If you're connecting through one of the platforms, Spotify or iHeartRadio, then I definitely would encourage you to follow us and give us a rating and review. It's by your ratings and reviews, by your indication that we get this podcast out there. If you're connecting to us on YouTube, which is awesome, I'm so glad that this platform is a part of our capability, then please subscribe to the YouTube channel and get it out there. You may see it pop up on my social media page as a way to share it. But I'm really, really pleased and I'm really, really impressed that it's out there. So thank you for that. And thank you for your willingness to share it. And thank you for your willingness to put it out there. It is truly a blessing to be able to be part of your time, part of your journey. And if you want to connect with me directly, head to the website, gracelifecoaching.com. If you want to do some coaching, if you want to have some conversation, want to do some meditation, or maybe some virtual Reiki if we're not close, or if you want to do some sound bath, or you just have some ideas about the podcast, how I can make this better, how I can get it out there. You know, it's pretty raw. This is a pretty raw podcast, a pretty raw production. It's a one-man show because I listen to a lot of podcasts and I listen to a lot of things and I hear the background music and the post-production work, and it's really awesome stuff. And maybe someday I'll get to that point, but right now I just want to bring you what's inside my heart, inside my head, inside my experience. I want to bring it to you so that hopefully it will somehow affect your life and somehow affect your thinking and your work. And though I would love to have the music and the post-production stuff, I mean, this is a side thing for me. I have a full-time job and I love it, but I also love doing this. So I really want to get the content out there. So that's why, as you see this, you know, I mean, this is my office. Welcome to my office. Welcome to my domain where I exist and I think and I create. So I'm happy to be here. It's a mix between, you know, the beauty of my sound bowls, and it looks like I work the camera. You can see I can't even. There we go. There's my chocolate up there for those days when I just need a little extra hit, a little extra function. So thanks for being part of this. Thanks for taking the time. Time is our greatest commodity. We have it is the one limited thing that we have. Time is a limited commodity. We can make money, lose money. We can find friends, lose friends, increase, decrease relationships, bigger houses, smaller houses, more books, less books. But time is a limited commodity. There will be a point where we run out of it. And so because of that, and the fact that you're investing in this is really, truly a joy. So thank you for that. And for those of you who are new to this journey, this is a podcast and a piece on coaching, on building a better life. We here at Grace Life Coaching want you to be the best you. So we bring that which we hope can help you to be the best you. Now, when I say the best you, I want to make sure that I'm clear about this. I'm not critiquing where you are now. You might be in a very good place in a lot of things, but we can always grow. There's always places in our identity, there's always places in our being where we can increase and expand and pulse out and learn new things and be new things. It is there that we dwell. And so for each of us, there are going to be different things. I mean, maybe it's weight, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's time with spouse, time with self, journaling, all those things. So there isn't one thing to say that you're bad, because that's not what I want to indicate at all. No. But because you're here, because you're listening, because you're growing, it means that there's some place, somewhere that you want to be better. And I love that. I'm so blessed to be part of that reality. I'm so blessed to be part of that ritual and that walk. So thank you for that. Thank you for entrusting me with that. Thank you for entrusting me with your time. And it really, truly is a blessing and a gift. And I feel honored and humbled by it. So thank you for that. Thank you from not only the depth of my heart, but my passion, because I want to see people better. The more I see people better, the more I'm better, the more you're better, the more we're better. The more I grow and you grow, we grow together. And that's the hustle. You know, in this world, there isn't a limited commodity of growth. There isn't a limited commodity of better. We can all be better. We can all fight for and want what's best for each other. I can lift you up while lifting myself up. I don't have to put someone else down in order to incline. I don't have to see someone else fail in order to rise. That's not how this world works. Not like this. We can all be better, and someone else can be better too. Someone else doesn't have to decline in order for us to be better. This isn't the NBA. Someone doesn't have to sit down for us to take the bench or for us to take the court, okay? So what I want to talk to you today about, I've talked about this before, but it's been a while, and I think it's important to bring it up, and that's self-sabotage. The action of self-sabotage. I just read a quote from Tony Robbins, and it was brought to me. I follow there's a website, there's an email address that they send me a daily positive. And this is a quote from Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins, for those of you who don't know, great motivational speaker, really powerful thinker, powerful person to help bring people forward. I like his stuff. I've watched a couple of his unshakable events online. If you ever get an opportunity to listen to him or follow one of his events, they're really powerful. They're really a lot of fun. Again, like anything else, you take what you take, you get what you get. But this is a quote from Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins says, "The only person who is truly holding you back is you. No more excuses. It's time to change. It's time to live life at a new level." Okay, so really what I want to focus on is that first part. I agree with all of it, but really what I want to focus on the first part. The only person who is truly holding you back is you. And where I want to go with that is I want to talk about self-sabotage. Now, I want to caveat this, okay? And I've said this before. I've said this many times before, but I think it's bearing repeating. For one thing, this is not a medical or diagnostic podcast, okay? I'm not diagnosing anything. And many people have things that are holding them back or that are impeding them in some way that aren't theirs, okay? And I acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge that. People struggle with depression or anxiety. People deal with abuse or cycles of abuse, cycles of poverty and injustice, okay? Absolutely. There is a great deal of power that is being impressed on people, okay? I want to own that, and I want to say that, because I don't want someone to think, well, power of positive thinking, and we can just think our way out of it. There's a lot of things you can't think your way out of, okay? There really isn't. There's a lot of things that there are things that are just out of our control that press on us, okay? I don't want to make this sound like some kind of wide eye, just think it away and it's all great. I'm too grounded for that. I know that there's a lot of things that are out of our control. And sometimes we just need to acquiesce that and learn to live within that control. Cancer is one of those things. Sometimes the economy is one of those things. It is, okay? So I want to take those off the table when I'm talking about this, because there are things that can work to sabotage us. But even when they do, we still have control. But I want to dig into kind of like daily life of self-sabotage, okay? The daily existence. Let's take the big stuff off the board. And if you're dealing with big stuff, if you got big stuff that is weighing you down, then know that I want to be with you in that, and I certainly will send good energy and good thoughts, and if you so desire, divine inspiration and divine intervention into that, okay? But I want to talk about just kind of daily, right here, right now, everyday stuff, and self-sabotage, and how that works and how that plays out. So let's get a working definition of self-sabotage. I think it's always good to have some kind of definition or something that helps us to follow. So self-sabotage, and I'll use a definition from betterup.com because it's a really good one. Self-sabotage is when people do or do not do things that block their success or prevent them from accomplishing their goals. It can happen consciously or unconsciously. Self-sabotaging behaviors can affect our personal, professional success as well as our mental health. Okay, so self-sabotage in a nutshell, self-sabotage is the action, the conscious or the unconscious action of doing or not doing things that block someone's success, your success. So if you're looking at your success and you find that it's not happening, are you self-sabotaging? Are you sabotaging yourself? Are you putting it out there that maybe you are the one that is getting in your own way? And oftentimes that's the case. We like to think that there are other things out there that are pressing us. Like I said before, sometimes there are, and sometimes they're big things. But a lot of times it's our own process that is not setting us up for success. And lack of preparation, in a lot of ways, I see lack of preparation is as a profound way of self-sabotaging. Okay, there's a lot of ways to self-sabotage, and I'll go back to that lack of preparation one because I think it's really big. But some of the things that perfectionism can be self-sabotage. It's not perfect, so I'm not good enough. Lack of moderation and boundaries. No boundaries, which I'm going to set time for myself, and I'm going to but look, somebody needs a few minutes. I'm not going to set boundaries. Running on empty. Pushing yourself beyond the edge. And then failing because you can't do it. Procrastination is a big self-sabotage piece where we just wait and wait and wait. Oh, look, the deadline to sign up for this grant is tomorrow, but oh, look, I got busy, I guess I missed it, so I can't do the work. Or, procrastination, lack of communication, not reaching out, not looking for help, communicating, in life, both at home and in the workplace. When we don't communicate, then we don't tell people where we're at or what's going on, and then it creates difficulty. Sometimes it can even lead to imposter syndrome. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what imposter syndrome is imposter syndrome in the long and the short of it is a condition of feeling anxious or not experiencing success internally, despite being highly performing externally in objective ways. So you're performing, you're putting it out there, but you don't feel like it. An imposter syndrome can be a huge piece of self-sabotage, because even though we're performing externally and we're showing good stuff, I don't belong here, I don't belong standing up here, I don't belong in this place, I don't deserve this, so therefore, I'm going to sabotage my success so then I can self-prove, I can self-fulfilling prophecy that I don't belong. I don't belong. I don't deserve what I get. That's a form of self-sabotage. To look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm an imposter. I don't deserve this. And we do it in relationships. How many times have you heard someone say to their partner or their spouse, I don't deserve you? Well, that's a form of imposter syndrome. Here we are in this relationship and we go, but I don't deserve you. Well, then what you're really trying to do is you're sabotaging that relationship. You're telling the other person, you're better than me. That you should go out and find somebody else. And sooner or later, someone's like, I don't deserve you. Well, okay, then I'm going to go find somebody else that does deserve me, because I want to be treated like I'm deserved. So that's imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome can have a huge role in self-sabotage. Self-sabotage can look like refusing to ask for help, controlling or micromanaging behavior, picking fights, to avoid conflict, or starting conflict to avoid difficult conversations, setting goals that are too low or too high, too lofty, negative self-talk, extreme criticism. Those are all ways that self-sabotage makes its way. Substance abuse, overspending, overdoing, constantly seeking approval, undermining yourself, undermining your goals or values. All ways that self-sabotage can work, and all ways that self-sabotage can play a role in bringing you down. Okay, so and self-sabotage can really be devastating. And you probably can look at it like, wow, I guess, am I self-sabotaging when I'm trying to lose weight, going to the gym, having better communication? And ultimately, yeah, it could very well be that you're experiencing self-sabotage. So how do you overcome it? Well, there's a lot of ways to overcome self-sabotage. One of the things in my life that I have done to, try to overcome self-sabotage, particularly, in terms of my own physical health. I go to the gym. I try to eat right. I try to shed the weight that I need to shed to be healthier. And sometimes I'm successful and sometimes I'm not. And when I'm not successful, I can look back over why, and I can say, with relative certainty that most of the reason why I wasn't successful was because of me. I was the one that did. I didn't have the plan in place. I allowed the plan to fall down, which then created the ultimate end goal of me not going. So let me kind of throw it out there what I'm talking about. So if I want to go to the gym in the morning, which is usually my routine, I get up, do the morning stuff, get my girl to school, and then I'm off to the gym. Okay. But that routine, in order for me to be successful in that, I need to have a plan that incorporates the night before, actually the day before. Because look, if I drink too much caffeine after around 4 o'clock, then I don't sleep well. Then I lay there in bed and I look at the ceiling. You know how it goes, okay? So if I don't sleep well, then I don't wake up well. And if I don't wake up well, then I don't go to the gym because I feel terrible. My body feels terrible. My motivation feels terrible. My mentality feels terrible. My mental health is dragging. My physical health is dragging. And I'm just like, I'm not going to make it to the gym today. Why didn't I make it to the gym today? Because I drank the caffeine yesterday. Okay? You see where I self-sabotaged. Now, I know better. I know better than to drink caffeine after 4 o'clock in the evening, in the afternoon, because I know what it's going to do for me. So when I drink caffeine after 4 o'clock, I'm setting myself up to fail the next morning. Now, can I push through? Sometimes I can, but even when I do, my workout isn't as powerful and as strong as I want it to be. So there it is. So I've sabotaged my workout. Now, no one has told me to stay away from the gym. My wife hasn't told me to stay in bed. My daughter hasn't said, Daddy, you're not going to the gym today. My work doesn't tell me we don't want you to go to the gym. Who's saying I don't want to go to the gym? Me. And why am I saying it? Because I feel terrible. And why do I feel terrible? Because I didn't do what I needed to do the day before. I didn't put the plan in place. I sabotaged my own workout by not paying attention the day before. You see how that interaction is, okay? You see how that can happen. Let's talk about eating right. Let's talk about eating well. So I want to eat well. I don't want to snack in the evening. Well, that's all well and good. I don't want to snack in the evening. And the best way to not snack in the evening is what? Not have any snacks. So I go to bed and I go, I didn't do very well tonight because, I ate some M&Ms. I love M&Ms. I ate some M&Ms at night. I didn't want to eat M&Ms, but I ate M&Ms tonight. Why did I eat M&Ms? Because they're in the other room. I mean, it's just there. My willpower, the only way my willpower is truly going to live in is to not have the M&Ms. So it shouldn't be a test of willpower. It's like, I'm going to sit here on the couch and know that thing M&Ms is in the other room, and I'm going to sit here and I'm like, I'm not going to have M&Ms. No M&Ms. No. Why would I do that to myself? If I'm truly not wanting to eat the M&Ms, then the M&Ms need to go away. Phone. I mean, we can talk about winding down. We see all of the research around sleep. Sleep is really important, by the way. 7 to 7.5 hours every night you should be getting it. I did a podcast a couple of episodes ago about getting up early, okay? But sleep is really, really important. And it's very fragile. I mean, it can be very hard for people to fall asleep. And one of the primary reasons is because of the blue light and the phone activity, okay? So you want to have a good night's sleep. So one of the things that they say about having a good night's sleep is if you're going to bed at 10 o'clock, then no phone an hour beforehand. Turn your device off, okay? Turn your device off an hour before you go to bed. Read a book, read a magazine, listen to music, meditate, pray, cuddle with the cat, whatever it is, but don't look at your phone, okay? So the plan is I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock, so I'm going to turn my phone. I'm not going to look at my phone after 9 o'clock. Well, and there's apps you can use and there's settings you can use on your phone to do that, but I'm not going to set it up. I'm just going to use my willpower. Well, you're setting yourself up for what could be very much self-sabotage because it's right there. And so if you're not going to do the process that needs to be done in order to fulfill the goal or the success in the circumstance, then you're just going to wind up sabotaging yourself. You see? So when you're looking at whatever it is, again, and like I said before, all of our lives are different. We all have the places where we can get better. So if your outcome is X, whatever X is, look at your phone less or whatever, you can't just pin X to the wall and say, I'm going to do this without looking at the process leading up to it. You need to have a plan because the plan is what's going to help you not self-sabotage. The plan is what's going to help you not drop your goals, drop your expectations, or miss your step forward. And most of what happens is not going to be happening to you. It's going to be happening by you. Now, there are things that happen to you, and I said at the beginning, that's not what this podcast is about. But if you want to change the things that are happening by you, then working on a system so you don't wind up sabotaging yourself is a really, really good way to do it. It's a really, really important thing. And that means setting up that process. So again, what is your outcome? And what are the steps you need to take to lead up to that outcome that need to change, so you're not just going to sabotage yourself when you get to the end. And you're going to look at yourself and say, look, I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it to the gym, or I couldn't what have you. One of the things that I have found in my own process, one of the things that I've had to confront again, and it's a constant thing. We've talked about it before. We talked about it last year with the 60-day challenge, and I've ebbed and flowed, and that's alcohol. Alcohol, I enjoy a drink, I enjoy a cocktail, but I know that when I have one, then that is going to greatly decrease my ability to have a good night's sleep, and that is going to greatly decrease my ability to get up the next morning and fully function. So pouring a cocktail, I really like to do it, but I know that in some ways that's kind of self-sabotaging my next day. And I have to ask myself, am I willing to invest that? Do I want the next day to look like this? If I do, then I'm going to do A. If I don't, then I'm going to do B. That's just how it works. But do I want to self-sabotage? Do I want this to look like this? If I do, great. If I don't, then these are the choices I need to make. Okay? So self-sabotaging, one of the primary ways to overcome it, you figure out what you want, you write a plan. You be mindful of where that plan is going to fall down. So, how do you overcome it? You develop some self-awareness, for one thing. That's kind of like what I was talking about. So the self-awareness of knowing that if I drink caffeine at 4:00 the day before, then my awareness is the next morning I'm going to feel terrible. Write it out. Good thing to write it out. Journaling. And I'll do a piece on journaling here, talk about what journaling is and how journaling can be really, really helpful and powerful. So write it out, get yourself a plan that will help you, which is awesome. So write out the plan, do it, and practice mindfulness while you're doing it. Be aware of what's going on. And I think the other thing is to communicate. Communicate with others that this is your plan. Communicate with us, because others, communicate with those who love you, because they're going to hold you accountable, and allow others to hold you accountable. I think that's one of the big things about what we want to do, is that when we get better, we have people around us, a coach, friends, that we allow them to help us be better. We allow them to help us grow, and when we do that, then that helps us to expand and enhance. But sometimes, if we're going to self-sabotage, I say to my wife, I'm gonna go. I didn't sleep real well last night. She's like, well, did you have any caffeine yesterday? Yeah, I did, after 4:00, or whatever. And she, is someone close in my circle that can say, well, when you do that, this is what's going to happen. This is the outcome. Communicate. I don't want to have bad nights. I want to have a good night and get up strong. So if I start to go for the caffeine, then kind of redirect me or what have you. We allow people in our lives to do that. But most of the time, when we don't fulfill what we set out to fulfill, it's on us. It really is. And that's one of the hardest things for us to be able to really truly acknowledge, is that it is on us, that we have to own what we can own. There are things that aren't, of course. There are things that aren't on us, and we can put them in their place, but we don't want to put everything on the not us place, because then we just sit and we play the victim. And we are victims of some things, but we're not victims of everything, except maybe our own self-sabotage, our own desire to set ourselves up to fail. So, my friends, I hope this is helpful for you. I hope this was something that you could find at least a nugget, a kernel of wisdom out of, and take with you. Again, if you're listening to us in the podcast form, then please share us out there. Get us on one of the platforms, Spotify or iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Follow us, give us a rating and review. If you're connecting through one of the social media sites, likes, please share us. I'd really love to know where you're connecting at. That would be so awesome. So share it out there. If you're on YouTube, then subscribe. That'd be really, really cool. And also, get it out there. Send it to others. Help others find this. This is how this work grows. This is how we grow together. So get it out there for others. That would be awesome. And as always, if you want to reach out to me, the website's gracelifecoaching.com. And at Grace Life Coaching, we want you to be the best you.